Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the channel. Now, this particular case is something I've been following. I've been trying to find out exactly how plausible these kinds of cases are. This alienation of affection kind of cases, where if maybe somebody, your spouse, cheats with another person, you can sue that person or your spouse and or yes, both of them for alienation of affection and get an amount. Now, this particular couple you're seeing here, this is a couple who are TikTok famous, if you like. Just two rotund people there just doing their thing. So there is a pretty big settlement involved here. So let's listen in first of all to Law and Crime Network. That's the actual court case, what happened. Then we'll go further and listen to what Atozi, who's a YouTuber, who has to say about it. So just kind of getting different perspective. But first, from the actual court case itself.
Can you get your hair out of my milkshake?
Pick it up.
I'm driving.
Boy, when does that ever stop?
Who is she talking to, bro? Chill out.
Tim, when does that ever... Tim,
Don't call me
please.
Tim either. Don't call me
No.
Tim.
When does that ever stop you from picking your drink up?
A bombshell lawsuit and a bombshell trial. A woman sued a social media star for having an affair with her ex-husband and destroying their marriage. And while not available in every state, North Carolina actually allows people to sue for this. And wait till you hear what happened at trial, where this online influencer, who represented herself, questioned the woman suing her. This was an intense showdown that all culminated with a major verdict. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
I've never understood people who represent themselves in courts and they are not lawyers because of how convoluted a lot of these laws are. The processes are so, if somebody has been in that field for a while, they'll walk all over you. You'll have even if you are actually innocent or you have evidence, it doesn't matter. It's actually a very tricky place to take yourself there. And I think it comes with this arrogance where these people think they know more than they do, and a lot of times that nothing will happen to them because often things don't happen to them.
Now, as we're talking about laws that you may not have heard of, here's a fun fact that you might not have heard of. Did you know that chips were cooked in tallow until the 1990s? See, that's when corporations, they switched to the cheap processed seed oils, and I hate seed oils. I am trying to rid my diet of seed oils. Seed oils, they make up what? 20% of the average American's calories, and we know they're linked to inflammation and metabolic issues, but that is why I'm so happy we have our sponsor, Masa Chips. Okay, this is a game changer.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, because I'm watching their content, I think it's good manners, just let the ads run, just because they did the work. And a lot of the times, because we're using this for our own entertainment and education purposes, I mean, let the man get paid.
These are delicious tortilla chips that are made from just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. There are no seed oils ever. They are crunchier,
but I think it's so obvious
than other
for,
chips, and you actually feel
like
good.
Especially America, how much they change the diets there.
This habanero flavor right
Testosterone
here
has fallen dramatically. That's part of the reason. The microplastics.
I broke the bag.
So much
I'm not a good bag opener, but I ripped these open. I did it for the other flavors they
ecosystem, if you like.
Lime, churro.
Anyway, we are all
These are
suffering. It's not
amazing.
just
Okay, they're
America. I
amazing.
think
So if you're
America
ready
is
to
because
give
it's on the
Masa a try,
spotlight.
Probably
Yeah,
shouldn't be
but
as
all
much
over
as
the
that.
world,
Anyway,
I think
go to
even in the third world, they get
sidebar.
the
Use
worst
code
of it
sidebar,
because they get
25% off of your
the
first
stuff
order. If you
that
didn't hear me because
is,
of the meeting, that is
how do we say,
masachips.com
that's been banned in the West.
sidebar. Code sidebar for 25% off of your first order, or you can find Masa now at your local Sprout stores, and go now before they're gone because they're amazing. I saw this story, knew immediately we had to do it here on Sidebar because look, we cover, as you know, all different kinds of lawsuits: breach of contract, intentional infliction of emotional distress, assault, battery. I will tell you right now, I feel fairly confident in saying I don't think we have ever covered a lawsuit like this one before, where you have a very popular TikTok star who is being sued by a woman who claims that she essentially stole her husband from her, and believe it or not, in the law, there is an actual specific claim or claims you can sue for. I remember studying this in law school. I hadn't thought about it since then, and it was only now when I hear about the story that I remembered it. A few states recognize it. It's called alienation of affection, and you can also sue for something called criminal conversation, which is a claim here too. It's basically adultery. You can sue when someone has sexual intercourse with your spouse. And we're going to talk about this. This is a real thing. It is a real thing in the state of North Carolina where this is happening. So, back in May of 2024, Akira Montague filed a $3.5 million lawsuit against viral TikTok star.
Wait, so the guy left this woman for this other obese woman? Okay.
Brene Kennard. She's got over 274,000 followers on Instagram, nearly 3 million on TikTok. Talks about her life, get ready with me videos, doing product reviews, makeup lessons, and so forth.
Hey TikTok. So I have a couple things that I got from the TikTok shop that I want to show you guys. First up, this hydrating tint. If you don't want to wear a foundation, this would be great for you. If you've had this before, heard this brand, let me know.
And sometimes she appears with her husband, Tim.
Hi, guys.
What's up, y'all? Hello?
We on here? Hey,
What's up,
guys.
y'all?
It's Renee.
It's Tim.
Those nails. Okay, who? Anyway, I don't even know why I'm asking. The lashes, the fake hair. We all don't like it, but hey.
And now, Brene and Tim have found themselves in Akira's legal crosshairs. Akira sued for something called alienation of affection. And
That guy went for the money. All this woman is insufferable. There is no other two reasons because the other one is objectively morbidly obese. Objectively. There's no way she's as attractive as the one you're seeing right before you. So, yeah, most of the time it's usually the money, like the guys who like sees, I might do better economically this person. I mean, I don't know if it's legit. It's a legit reason. But personally, I wouldn't do it if that's the quality I have to drop down to.
basically, it's alleging, you are responsible for my marriage ending. In North Carolina, which is only one of a few states that recognize this, you have to prove there was a real affection, real love between two people in a marriage. There was clear proof that a third party intentionally interfered with that marriage, and that the love, the marriage, the affection, it was destroyed, meaning the love was, quote, alienated. Is that easy to prove? Is it easy to prove in this kind of case? And you know why we're talking about this right now? Because the trial just happened. We actually just got a verdict on how all of this played out. Plus, Brene represented herself during this trial. And before we even get into the trial, back in September, got to mention this, Brene was charged.
That's how I was waiting for a more fuller picture. There's no way, guys. Come on now. Like, there's no way. I will see the other woman full body, but even this, like, my God, look at the gut there. I mean, the dude is right there for the money. I'm sorry. This is one of them pookies, that, they as we understood these days, actually it's a phenomenon I've found that a lot of the young guys really don't want to put in all that work to make the money. They'll get a below average woman who's making the money from somewhere and they'll get with her. It is what it is.
Charged with cyber stalking after Akira filed a formal complaint against her, accusing the social media star of harassing her online, showing up places, a filing saying, quote, Kennard constantly mentions my name, as well as posts my name and answers questions pertaining to my personal life and pending cases. And there was also an allegation that Brene violated a restraining order that Akira took out on her. Now, Brene was released at the time on a $2,500 bond. But when we talk about bad blood, it should also be noted that just days before Akira filed her lawsuit against Brene, there was a warrant that was issued for Akira's arrest, that she was purportedly threatening Brene by allegedly saying, I will kill you, and I will beat your bleep, and I know where you stay. This is according to the warrant. So in that criminal case, by the way, prosecutors allowed for Akira's prosecution to be deferred in exchange for 12 months of unsupervised probation, and she had to complete anger management classes and have no contact with Brene. Bad, I know. So
It always gets weird just how a lot of women do such egregious things but they always get a slap on the wrist. It's always quite. I don't know why people are shocked that women behave as they do these days, because there is nobody really gets to meet the full repercussions of their bad behavior. I mean, it's so obvious to anyone. If you're trying to make the society better, people must be held accountable. But you see, these people are going off the rails. And once this soup they've mixed themselves in, it gets, for everyone involved, it gets bitter and bitter. This person is threatening the other, restraining orders. You see, it becomes so messy. And for this gentleman who's in the middle of it, I would say is the beneficiary, because these two women are kind of fighting over him now. It's like, oh, now, because this woman kind of has not let it go. But also at the same time, I think if she invested a lot in the man and like to get what they have, I have personally no issues with her getting her worth, because it is what it is. If you have to be fair. You have to be, when things like this happen, you have to be fair. If she has a stake in it, if that maybe she wasn't making as much money, so he moved on, but they made significant enough for him to move on and took maybe a big chunk of it. There are so many variables. But generally speaking, if you invest, you should be paid back. That's all I'm saying.
We bring on an attorney who specializes in family law and divorces, Randy Kessler. Randy, thank you so much for taking the time. Have you ever handled an alienation of affection case, a criminal conversation case? I mean, is this common? I know it's only in a few states. Have you ever handled anything like this?
So in a roundabout way, we certainly have. So it's only in 5 or 6 states. I practice primarily in Georgia, where we don't have it, but we do have jury trials in Georgia. And so a lot of times what happens is my clients come in and say, she caused my husband to leave me. I want to bring her in. So we can't sue her in Georgia and in most states, but you can sue the spouse and say, listen, because you did this, and you can bring them in as witnesses, and you can make their life uncomfortable. But the short answer is no. Very rarely, no states really have this except 5 or 6. And North Carolina being a close state to us, a lot of our clients say, well, what if I just move to North Carolina? You can't do that after the fact. But it's
this is the thing. Am I in support of this? I would think yes, because a lot of men will be insulated from the behavior of women just monkey branching once they've taken their fill of your efforts and your resources. I think that for, among the many other things that you could do to protect yourself, prenups and all this, where you marry also seems to be a very important thing. It's very weird, though, that people have not really taken that into consideration so much. I think it's one of those things that if you're especially in the West, because really this is really relevant in the West, because that's where it really grinds the men. I know reliably, like say in Kenya, Uganda, and countries like that, a woman wouldn't just take your money. It doesn't matter whether she's been with you 40 years or no. If, for example, she cheats and she leaves, she's taking nothing. This is almost universal. Somehow in the West, they convoluted it, and, there we are right now. So let's continue.
It's something we think about and talk about a lot, and we get asked the question all the time.
And my understanding, these are kind of laws that originated back in the day when it was, men still considered women property, essentially. So there's a reason you don't see this across the country. But how difficult are these claims to prove? So if you look at alienation of affection, you have to prove that there was a genuine love, affection, that there was a deliberate interference by a third party. I guess criminal conversation, you just have to prove.
I think ideally what should be happening here is that you're being compensated for the labor and finances, because those ones you can kind of quantify. So I believe, because I think of this alienation of affection, I think they're too amorphous. You can't really um, you can't really quantify somebody's hurt in terms of monetary terms, although people do try. I just think you can really solidify it in the amount of money plus interest that you spent on the person. I think that must be the best way to go about it. But uh, I don't think it will happen soon. But I think I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. I think it's possible. Anything is possible these days because enough people become a political force, and it will become a thing because it's politicians at the end of the day who have to be pressured to do these things.
What, that there was an affair, that there was an actual sexual intercourse going on during the course of the marriage? How difficult is this to prove, and what do you do to prove it? How do you prove it? What kind of evidence is introduced in these kinds of cases?
So there's a whole bunch of evidence, but I'm going to take a break for 1 second. We've evolved from fault divorce. You were talking about at the beginning, these laws go way back to where you had to have a reason to get a divorce. You had to prove somebody was cheating. And now in almost every state, you can get a divorce because I want a divorce. So it makes it hard to reconcile I want a divorce with pointing the finger at somebody else. So that's just to get to your first point. But as far as how hard is it to prove these cases, it's hard. You mentioned two, right? There's the alienation of affections and the criminal conversation. As I understand criminal conversation, it's what we call a strict liability case. Like if you prove that it happened, there's liability, even if the person cheating with the spouse didn't know the spouse was married. So that's an interesting one in and of itself. The other one, the bigger one, the one that they're really traveling under, the alienation of affections, is my husband left me because she made him leave me. And it's hard because most people say your husband left you because he didn't like you, or your husband went with somebody else because the relationship wasn't there. It's very hard to blame somebody else as if your spouse was not a willing participant, right? But that's what they have to do. They have to prove that the other person knew there was a marriage, that the marriage still had some viability. There's still a chance the marriage can last. It doesn't have to be a perfect marriage, but some romance, and that it caused the divorce.
And that is a key factor in this case that I want to get into because there's a difference of opinion when you hear what came out in trial. So first of all, how did all this come about? Well, Akira alleges in the complaint that Brene and Tim started making these social media videos, this content together while he was still married to Akira, like cooking videos, and that Akira didn't know about any of this or didn't sign off on any of this, even going so far as to allege that Brene would post pictures of Tim and the children he had with Akira, and she claims they were having an affair, that Brene was flaunting this online, that she herself found out about this alleged affair from a video of the two of them together in January of 2024. But when you go to the trial, okay, there are different versions here of the relationship, the marriage, which becomes very important from a legal point of view. And by the way, a little preview of the trial, we would learn during the trial that Brene and Tim, they apparently dated in high school, that Brene's ex-husband testified that he found out the two were trying to get back together in December of 2023, even heard them being intimate in his house in January of 2024. And the complaint also claims that Akira and Brene at one point were friends, that Brene allegedly used information that she learned from Akira about Tim, about their marriage, that she used that to seduce Tim. Now, before I get into all of that, okay.
That makes more sense. So this woman here and the guy have a history from way back. So she was even cheating on her husband with the guy. So now he's with this other woman, in my opinion, better looking. But these people, they seem to be having that past. I don't know why. Anyway, I have refused to to start to explain why people make so many stupid decisions. But hey, now it makes a bit more sense, the other past. But man, you moved on to something better. What's wrong with you?
Okay, Randy, first of all, $3.5 million that she's suing for in compensatory and punitive damages. And again, we'll talk about the trial and everything that happened there, but $3.5 million in compensatory and punitive damages. Your thoughts on that number, and how do you prove that?
Oh, there's a lot there. And you had my mind working. I was listening to everything you were saying, Jesse, and talking about, I started to think, rape is a bad example, but the defense can be consent. Someone consented, and did she know about it? So there are all these defenses that are whirling through my lawyer brain. But the number, you asked me about the number. I don't know how you get to that number. One thing that lawyers always think about is collectability. Does it do a lot of good to bring a lawsuit if you can never collect it? And what's interesting here is this is one of those kind of cases where most clients, most plaintiffs, don't really care as much about the number as the principle, right? They want to prove to the world that this lady caused my divorce. I'm not a bad wife. I didn't do anything wrong. It's because this outside person. I think the 3 million or 3.5 million, whatever she's seeking, it's got to be more of that. More of a, I want the world to know it's so bad that it's millions of dollars. So I don't know how else you quantify, 3.5, was my relationship worth 3.5 million? My relationship might have been worth 100 million, or it might have been worth $10. I just don't know.
But it's also pain and suffering, right? What you went through.
Yeah, but
Now, that what actually happened afterwards is that she was given $1.75 million. Yes, she did win. And this, I think, as far as I'm concerned, well, get your money and move on. But I hope she still doesn't have hang-ups about the guy. Whatever the case is, $1.7 million is definitely money you can use to do other things with yourself.
This TikToker just got hit with a $1.75 million judgment for stealing a woman's husband.
A North Carolina woman lost her husband, sued the TikTok star who took him, and won nearly $2 million.
How is this real? And why was that woman celebrating and filming that with an iPad? I have so many questions when I first saw this headline, because a TikToker having to pay almost $2 million because someone's husband cheated with her? That doesn't happen every day. And unfortunately, it seems like she didn't even take this lawsuit seriously, because she
guys, let's just look at this.
$2 million because someone's husband.
Seriously, as I what is this guy doing? Seriously, like, what shape is this? Oh, Lord.
Been cheated with her? That doesn't happen every day. And unfortunately, it seems like she didn't even take this lawsuit seriously, because she represented herself, walked into a North Carolina courtroom with zero lawyer, and watched a jury, after reviewing more than 700 pieces of evidence, including her own TikToks, decide that she was liable for both alienation of affection and criminal conversion, which is the legal phrase for, yeah, you slept with someone's spouse. So it is safe to say we have a wild story here today, which begins with Brene Kennard, known as Life of Brene, a TikTok lifestyle creator with almost 3 million followers. Essentially, she does content for like makeup, cooking, mukbangs, the usual. She also, ironically enough, has a couples account with her husband, the relationship that led to this entire lawsuit to begin with. But in 2024, she picked up a brand new hobby, being sued for allegedly destroying someone's marriage. The lawsuit came from Akira Montag, a ex-wife of Brene's now husband, Timothy Montag. And this is interesting because this is the first time I've ever heard anything like this, but North Carolina has a law called alienation of affection. And this is typically filed after a divorce and involves a civil wrong instead of anything criminal. It basically means if you ruin someone's marriage, they can actually bill you for the emotional damages. And fun fact, 6 states currently have this law: Hawaii, Mississippi, New Mexico, South Dakota, Utah, and North Carolina. And again, because this...
So you know where to get married, eh? Yeah, you saw the side by side when they put her there, then they put the picture previously. Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he should pay, because that money will come from both their pockets. He has to pay for making such a silly decision. Like, Jesus Christ, that's a downgrade.
Happened in North Carolina, Akira used this law to sue Brene for $3.5 million. Fast forward to November of 2025, when a Durham County jury delivered its verdict: $1.5 million for alienation of affection and another $250,000 for criminal conversion, bringing the total owed to Akira $1.75 million. And the reaction outside of the courtroom involved a crowd going absolute crazy in celebration. Akira wrapped her arms around her attorney, and supporters shouted in celebration like they've been waiting for this moment all year. It seems like this was basically a Super Bowl win.
We've made the money. She's now going to feed the neighborhood. Why do you think they're celebrating? They love her so much?
Win for this crowd. Meanwhile, Brene, out here still acting like her own attorney, stood in the hallway insisting that none of this should have happened to begin with.
And it was nothing but lies.
Brene Montague, who represented herself in court, slammed the verdict, leaving Brene Montague with a hefty bill and no answer on how she'll pay.
I don't know. But she'll probably never see it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a little bit late, but let's back up because this trial was a mess before the ruling came in. Akira's lawsuit painted the picture of a marriage slowly unraveling under the weight of Brene's involvement.
So I'm gonna stop that there. As somebody else was mentioning earlier, is she capable of paying? I suspect to some extent because of the social media and because of the businesses she does, she probably might be able to get that, or it might take time. Whatever the case is, if she has property that can be leveraged, people will come for it. No matter, the whole idea here is that this is the part of the crusade, if you are aware, if you've been watching this channel, of one of the many reasons as to why you should not get married. It's an entire pigsty. It's a business for so many other people, and you're the product. Now, you as a man, there are so many ways you can have a family. I know it's one of those essentials. I'm not going to argue against it. But there are so many ways you have to adjust accordingly. Having to deal with these courts all the time to decide what they do with your wealth, what you will do with your family. This is not worth it. And people have to, in my opinion, get over all the romanticism, go into marriages as the businesses they are. Yes, we need the children. Make sure you have as much control of the children as you can. Of course, not talking about being some control freak who's trying to ABCD, but you have to be ready for any eventuality. You have to be able to understand fully the cities or the states or the countries that you're getting married and what the laws are. Because whether you like it or not, a lot of these laws have been exported across the world. And they're slowly being introduced in various countries across the world, just the same way feminism and all the other isms have been spread. So just be careful, this is part of that journey. I hope you can give me your opinions down below about, first of all this. What do you think? Should we really, is this, in my opinion, this is one of the ways to try and level the playing field. You can sue someone, you can sue a man who comes into your family and does a BCD, or you can sue the wife who's cheating. I think all that is well and good, but they have to remove fault. This no fault divorce business, once you remove that, everything will kind of level out. That's my belief. Please leave your opinions down below. And of course, like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, peace.